Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this Saturday we have DoDonPachi DaiOuJou DX, a fascinating mobile phone port of a cave classic now available on the Switch. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. DoDonPachi DaiOuJou originally released to arcades in 2002. It would see release on several other systems, including the PlayStation 2, the Xbox 360, iOS phones, and in 2005, we got this version, the DoDonPachi DaiOuJou DX, which released for mobile phones of the era, which were flip phones. And it's super fascinating to think of a cave shoot 'em up on a flip phone. So fast forward to May 2021, and courtesy of Gmode, we have this Gmode Archives Plus release of DoDonPachi DaiOuJou DX. And just like seeing this type of almost like demake is super fascinating in my mind. I just love it, and it's been actually a very fun version of the game to experience. Now, at this point, it is only available on the Japanese eShop, but other Gmode archive titles have released on the North American eShop, so I feel that there is a chance this will see a worldwide release. And part of what's fascinating about this title is that it's actually relatively affordable as well at only 500 yen. So with all that, like just the fascination of this kind of like demake of a cave shoot 'em up, the low price point, it's one that I definitely recommend you give a try. There's a lot of interesting stuff to experience here, in my opinion. So we'll start off by looking at the menu when you boot up the game. So you're presented with this screen here, which kind of just shows the Gmode archive like screen, the look, and you have like the cell phone over on the left with the game, and even like the release date, which is super neat to see. I appreciate that. There's also some information in there as far as the genre. There's like there's a little tagline there, which I believe is Shinu ga yoi, dying is good. It's actually pretty fascinating. So pressing L and R takes us into the actual emulation itself. Before we start the game, there's a couple different options we have available. So if you press the start or the minus, rather the plus or minuses, you're taken to this screen here. We can see our controls. These are different from the cell phone controls, of course. As in the cell phone, you would actually use the D-pad to move, or not the D-pad, the keypad to move around. It's like that just doesn't sound that fun in my mind, but depending on like what you like had available, maybe it would have totally worked. But here's your controls here. One thing that's kind of neat is at the bottom here, it gives you a code, and what that code does is it unlocks a special difficulty, basically an extreme difficulty of terms of hardness. There's also the ability to turn on the frame or like have it off. So this is the way that it looks with the frame. But if we're looking to experience the game in its fullest, I think it's best to have that frame turned off. There's also a filter. There's online leaderboards with the rankings, so if you're looking to set scores or compete against others, you can definitely do so. Though keep in mind, this is a cave game. There's like tons of ways to like work on your score, and they're very, very competitive. So pressing the wrong button. So pressing the button, let's see, one of the face buttons, in this case I'll use A, takes us to this screen here. So you've got start. Once you complete the game, you unlock boss attack and option. There are 3 difficulties by default: easy, normal, hard, and then of course the special difficulty you can unlock. And there are a couple other options as well. As far as like sound is concerned, the emulation has like the sound tied to the left button, so you can actually turn that off, go to like soft or like loud, and then we'll actually start the game itself. So this is actually 100% correct to DoDonPachi DaiOuJou. There are 2 fighters in the game, the Type A and the Type B. The primary difference between them, the Type A is more of a straight shot, the Type B is a spread shot. So I'll take the Type B because I love the color green, so hey, it's a green like fighter, but we'll totally go with that, and spread shot's nice. But that's not the only part that influences the spread of your shot. So once you select your fighter, we're taken to the doll select. So these are kind of like cybernetic life forms that help enhance our fighters. And there's one that will enhance your shot. She also increases the number of bombs that we can hold. Then there's one that increases the laser, which you get if you hold down your shot button. Fewer bombs there. And then there's one that increases both, but you only have one bomb with the ability to max hold 2. So like easier but more difficult. So for our purposes today, we'll take the one that just enhances our shots. You can start on any stage once you've unlocked that stage. Stage 1 is what we'll want to see. And then we're dropped into the game itself. So one thing to note is that this would have released on a flip phone. So the game itself isn't going to be too graphically impressive, at least compared to the arcade and the other releases that came out. So like I was saying, it kind of just has this feel of almost like a Game Boy or a 16-bit like a D-make of a cave shooter, and I find that fascinating to see in action. The game itself doesn't have the greatest sound design. That's probably its weakest element. It's not possible for it to play too many sound effects, so you don't have a sound effect for your shot. The bombs definitely sound weak, and the explosions are almost like popping popcorn. But there's still a lot of fun here. So as we move through the game, we're picking up shots or power-ups that we're powering up our shot with. There's of course tons of points. There's also the ability to pick up some special power-ups. I didn't apparently meet the requirement for the B there. That's always in the DoDonPachi series. So we come to our first boss, which is a good time to actually start talking a little bit about our abilities. So we have a shot, and the game does have 2 buttons for your shot. There's one that just fires as a rapid fire, and there's one that if you're tap firing it, you get your shot, but if you hold down the shot, it becomes this laser. So the way that the game works as far as its comboing system is concerned, if you're using the laser on a boss, you'll build combo faster. And it's also more effective against, or not just the boss, big enemies. Whereas the shot itself is not very effective in either combo or dealing damage to said big enemy. In addition to that, while we're building up combo, we're actually building up another meter in this game, which is in that one bar that we do see off to the left. Once that bar fills up, we'll drop, the game will give you a hyper item. You collect that hyper item, and if you activate that, which you would activate by pressing your bomb button, then you'll get hyper mode, which is really easy in that mode to build combo, and actually there it is right there, to build combo and score. It's possible to hold up to 5 hypers, but if you lose a life, you'll lose your hypers. So there's kind of a risk-reward there. Are you going to build up hypers and try for your best score possible, or are you just going to accept that you're not going to be able to live that long and you just want to burn it earlier? Choices, right? Anyway, so that's basically our basic systems. And of course, there is also the bomb. One thing that's neat about the bomb, if we're using the laser and you activate the bomb, you don't get the standard bomb, but rather it increases the power of your laser, and it also makes the laser absorb shots. So that's something important to note. So we did lose a hyper, but we got another one back, so it's a good opportunity to use the hyper against this particular boss. So as I said, lasers are better against boss. We'll get to the point where we use laser and then activate our hyper. So just look at how high the combo meter is going above or rather just below the boss's health. That's how we build up combo. That's how we build up points. It's actually pretty awesome just to see that combo meter just go absolutely nuts. And that basically is what we have here with the DX version of DoDonPachi DaiOuJou. We've already seen like 2 stages, so this is its own unique game, its own unique experience that I feel is worth experiencing, and I actually really appreciate Gmode releasing these silly little like cell phone games all these years later on a system like the Switch. So as far as minus flavors are concerned, my biggest one simply is the sound design. Just being on like that week of hardware, it shows, because the like you're really limited with your like music and your sound effects. But setting like that aside, one of the things that, now moving on to the plus flavors, I just really love the fact that this feels so much like a demake of more recent, well, 2002 isn't necessarily recent, but a more modern like shoot 'em up. And like just the experience that you get from enjoying like a cave shoot 'em up that seems to like not be like what you would normally expect. There's also the great like price point that it has, and I feel that there's a pretty decent amount of replayability, and like at least from my perspective, I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of the title itself. Oh, just something to note, there are no continues, so if you lose all your lives, it is game over. So yeah, that basically is DoDonPachi DaiOuJou DX, the Gmode Archives Plus, served up for your enjoyment. This is definitely one that I've had a lot of fun with my time, and I would like recommend. It is a little unfortunate that at this point it's only available on the Japanese eShop, but it's not too difficult to create an account and get the necessary currency to make purchases and such. So if this is a type of shoot 'em up that you're interested in trying, and you like this aesthetic, this like classic feel, then this is one that I encourage you to try. Alright, that'll just about wrap it up for today's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining me this week, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.